Have you failed? Do you beat yourself up about it, feel shame about it, and feel like God can never think of you in the same way? There's this phrase in the Bible that God uses to describe His people. It's translated peculiar treasures. It's kind of an odd way to describe people that you love and value, but I have to tell you, I love it because I actually have a peculiar treasure. Meet Morgan. Morgan is 51 years old. Morgan was my constant companion when I was like 1, 2, and 3 years old. In fact, I slept with him every night of the week. He's been through several surgeries. In fact, his stuffing is mostly gone. His fur has been rubbed off. Look at this. His head droops. Worse, his butt droops. Now, when my grandma saw this dog, she said to my mom, "That's disgusting." So she went out to the store and got me a bigger and better and newer Morgan. It barked, it had rattling eyes. You know what I did with that dog? Put it on the shelf. Because it may be peculiar, but this is my Morgan. I treasure him. Now, if you think about it, when God looks down from heaven, this is what He sees. People who have gone through several surgeries, people whose heads are drooping, whose butts are drooping, who kind of look like this. And frankly, if I were God, I might throw this model out and start over again. But it's weird and peculiar because God says, no, I love these. And I'm going to use them just like they are. So even though we're messed up and broken and flawed, God loves us and chooses to use us. Think about Noah. He was the most righteous man in the whole earth that God could find. He built an ark. He floated around on it for a long time. But here's the part of the story that no one ever reads. When he comes out of the ark, he makes a vineyard. He makes some wine from the vineyard and drinks so much wine that he falls down drunk and naked in his tent. This is the most righteous man in the whole earth? This is peculiar. Or think about David. He was known as the man after God's own heart. So after sending his troops off to war and staying home, he notices the girl next door taking a bath. When he likes what he sees, he invites her over and he sleeps with her. He gets her pregnant. When he realizes what's happened, he invites her husband back home from the front lines and tries to get him to sleep with his wife. He won't, so he sends him back to the front lines to have him executed, which works. And then David takes Bathsheba as his wife. And 1,000 years later, when Jesus rides into Jerusalem on a donkey, he's hailed as the son of David. This is peculiar. Abraham and his lying, Jacob deceiving his father, Moses who tells God at the burning bush, send someone else, I don't want to go. Peter, 3 times at the most critical moment of Jesus' life, he denies him. Paul kills Christians first, and then God raises him up. God uses these people anyway. Peculiar. Chuck Colson was one of the guys responsible for the most infamous political scandal in modern history. You may have heard of Watergate. Colson and other top aides for President Nixon bugged the Democratic headquarters in the Watergate Hotel before the election and got caught. Nixon resigned. Colson was sent to prison, where he became a Christian. Upon his release from prison, Colson established prison fellowship and began to minister to prisoners all over the country. God has used him to introduce these prisoners to Jesus and to help them turn their lives around. In his book, Loving God, Colson reflects on his life as he waits to speak to a group of prisoners. As I sat on the platform, my mind began to drift back in time to scholarships and honors earned, cases argued and won, great decisions made from lofty government offices. My life had been the perfect success story, the great American dream fulfilled. But all at once, I realized it was not my success that made this morning so glorious. All my achievements meant nothing in God's economy. No, the real legacy of my life was my biggest failure, that I was an ex-convict. My greatest humiliation, being sent to prison, was the beginning of God's greatest use of my life. He chose the one experience in which I could not glory for His glory. Right now, Colson's words hit me in a whole new way, right in the heart. Because right now, I'm in the middle of my greatest failure. Jericho Road Church that I started 6.5 years ago is not what it should be. We don't have enough people, we don't have enough money, I'm looking for a job. I feel like I've let people down, and worse than that, I feel like I've let God down. But in my failure, I take great comfort in the idea that I'm God's peculiar treasure, that my greatest failure might be the beginning of God's greatest use in my life, that God can take what I've ruined and turn it into an amazing story. Have you failed? Do you beat yourself up about it, feel shame about it, and feel like God can never think of you in the same way? Think again. You are a peculiar treasure, loved by God, and in some strange way, God can take your failings and turn them into the most amazing stories.